So welcome back, everybody. This is our third session of first year program summer. Today, we get to cover a really important topic for everyone to kind of get a grasp of. And I know it's something new and different for some people, but really ultimately, time management is what we're going to be covering, and it is going to be something really important to help you to be successful during your time here at CU. So some of you might have had really great ways that you can prioritize your schedule from when you were in high school. Some of you maybe had a lot of help from a parent or a guardian or somebody trying to make sure that you're on top of all of your things. But like we talked about last week, agency, and it is all on you now. So we want to try to make sure that we give you some tools in order to help you be successful here. So time management, how it helps you. Really, some of the biggest things, it helps you plan ahead. It creates clear priorities. It helps you to be efficient with your limited time available. We all know what it's like to be a student and an athlete, but at the Division I level, this might be something that's totally different for you. It also just helps you create a balance between the things that you have to do and you want to do. So, just making sure that you prioritize some of the things that are really important for you to get done so that you can do something social or go see a movie or do something with friends. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to watch this video all about really time management. And so I'll give you a disclaimer that afterwards, probably. So.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
We all have this one life to live. A fleeting shadow amongst all that exists in this vast universe. We have the ability to accomplish anything, truly anything, if we use our time wisely. Is this jar full?
Yes.
And is it full now?
Yes.
And how about now? Is the jar full now?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Now, I want you to recognize that this jar represents your life. Golf balls are the important things, your family, your friends, your health, and your passions. The pebbles are the other important things, your car, your job, your home. The sand is everything else, it's just the small stuff. Now, if you put the sand into the jar first, you won't have room for the pebbles or the golf balls. And the same is true in life. If you spend all your energy and your time on the small stuff, you won't have time for all the really important things that matter to you. Pay attention to the things that are critical to your happiness. Take care of the golf balls first, the really important things. Set your priorities, because everything else is, it's just sand. Yes?
Professor, what does the beer represent?
I'm glad you asked. It goes to show that no matter how full your life may seem to be, there's always room for a couple of beers with a friend.
Okay. So we had some beer programmed into that one today. We're not condoning that. You guys are becoming adults though. So, not sure that that's the first time you've ever seen it, but we just wanted to make sure that you think about those other things that were in that video too, because it shows a lot of really important things that we're going to talk about today. So for example, there's a lot of things that are going to come into your weekly schedule. There's non-negotiables and there's negotiable things that are going to come up. So those non-negotiables are like those rocks and those pebbles that were featured first. So those are typically those things that are fixed, you can't change. So it's like a class schedule or something like that. They're often related to things that you have to do. And so those can be things based off of team practices or games or policies, different things like that. And there can be consequences if you don't adhere to them. So going back to that idea of agency. Then there's the other group of things, which are the negotiables. So those, the sand or the liquid at the end, which was all things that can be discussed or modified, the extra things that you want to put into your time. So whether you want to attend different events, go to different club meetings, have social events, those things are a little bit easier to fit in and to find some compromise in there. So with that, we're going to talk a little bit about those negotiable things. So all of the extra things that we're going to do. And so Abby is going to help us talk about all the different programming available.
Thank you, Catherine. Like Catherine mentioned, when you guys are here at CU, you have a very busy schedule. There's a lot of non-negotiables that get you towards your goals academically, athletically, but there's a lot of negotiables on the side that are still important because they make your experience more full here at CU, but maybe those are the programs that you need to put lower on your priority list for one reason or another. When we get into the activity, you'll see options for these negotiable events, and I'm going to explain some about what they are. So here at CU, across the NCAA, a couple years ago, the Supreme Court of the United States came out with a decision, and we call it Alston. So when you hear the word Alston, it applies at all schools, but it looks different everywhere. Here at CU, what that means is under this decision, at the beginning of each semester, full scholarship student athletes get $2,000. As long as you're academically eligible and participating with your team, you get $2,000 as an educational benefit. Those of you on partial scholarships or percentage scholarships, you get that percentage of $2,000. So if you are on 50%, you'll get $1,000. However, and probably the best part about Alston is that every student athlete, regardless of scholarship status, can earn a programming benefit. So in addition to the initial benefit that you just get because of who you are, everybody can earn programming benefits each semester. This is a total of $990, and all you have to do is attend 5 Alston events. These events are put on by our department, leadership and career development, PHP, DEI, and then NIL. We put on these events. They are sometimes during the day, sometimes at night. There's a ton of events so that it can work in your schedule. They're on the CU Athlete app, which we talked about last week. Importantly, because remember, these are negotiables, they have to come after all of your requirements. So you can't miss class, you can't miss any other academic appointments, you can't miss team activities, you can't miss any sort of medical appointments you have. But this is an extra thing that we hope you participate in, but that you build in around those other things. The next sort of negotiable bucket we're talking about is name, image, and likeness. So remember that that's what I do. And name, image, and likeness, the activity is, it's an exchange of value. So you are earning that compensation that's provided to you by a third party. That might be a company, it might be a person, it might be a group, like a booster group. You are doing something to earn that money. So that could be appearances, photo shoots, private lessons, or a camp or clinic. It could be a fundraising event that you're invited to, things like that. In the space of NIL activities, if that's what you're into, sometimes these events will look like something you initiated, and sometimes it'll be required if you sign a contract or you're working with a brand. Just like Alston, you cannot miss class to do NIL. You can't miss team activities. You can't do any medical miss any medical appointments. NIL has to come after all of that. That's why I'm here and my colleague Sadie is here. We're here to help you read through those contracts, figure out what the third party is asking you to do. And then it's important in your time and in your schedule that you decide, do you have the time? Do you have the resources? Do you have the bandwidth to fulfill that stipulation in order to get that money, that free stuff, discounts, things like that? What always comes down to is what you're asked to do worth that money, and can you fit it in your schedule? And some other fun things that are offered here at CU, again, to make your experience more full and more well-rounded, are student athlete clubs. We have these three are sort of the big ones here at CU. I think we've mentioned them before, but we have the Student Athlete Advisory Committee called SAC. This is basically like student council or student government that you had in high school. They do a lot of different programming and events, including the Welcome Back Picnic, which you all got an email about recently. This is run by Rachel Ripkin. She is our SAC staff liaison. See United is the Racial Justice and Social Change Task Force. This is run by our DEI team. And especially here on first year program, please know that within See United, there's a mentorship program for first year student athletes of color. If you are interested in what See United does or in this mentorship program, Deandra is on our call, and if you want to send her a message, she can help you get connected to that. Another group that we offer is Boulder Buffs. It is a peer advocacy mental health group. There's meetings throughout the semester. You all get together with the PHP staff to learn about mental health and wellness and how you can advocate that to the rest of the student athlete body. But again, these three things and clubs like this, either within the athletic department or on campus as a whole, those are things that come after all of your requirements. They're really fun things to do, but when you're super busy or when you're budgeting your time, something to consider there. Catherine, all good?
Yes, thank you so much, Abby. So we're going to listen to Cody for a little bit. He's going to talk to us a little bit about this activity that we're going to do within our cohorts today. So Cody, take it away, and then we'll get into our breakout rooms.
Cool, thank you. So today's activity, when we break into the cohorts, we're going to be looking at basically like you're planning out like a day-to-day and your week-to-week. So the goal of this activity is to fill in like a typical student athlete's calendar with activities that we feel are important with your transition here to CU. And this is basically stolen from someone in the past, so this is a very accurate like representation of it. We've identified some like non-negotiables such as like class and practice that you can't miss. We already filled them in for you on the calendar. And so what the cohort's going to see is a schedule like already scheduled for those student athletes. And so when we break off into groups, you'll kind of get a chance to kind of build it and add some of the other extracurriculars that Abby mentioned before. I think that's the most part of it.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Cody. So I'm going to send you all into your breakout rooms. You are going to be with your breakout room, your cohort, for the next 15 minutes. So please make sure that you're engaged, you got your camera on, you're ready to help with this, because I think this is a valuable thing for every single one of us in here. So 15 minutes and we'll pop back and we'll do a little debrief too. So, all right, see you guys in a couple.
Those of you that have been around, have you started to have to think about time management? Asan, you've had class this summer. How has it been managing all of your responsibilities?
Going good so far.
Good, I'm glad to hear it. Okay, can you all share, or can you all see my screen? Got it? Okay, so this is, we're gonna figure out what your week looks like, or what it might look like. This is just an example. This is actually probably most akin to football. So Kendall, oh, looks like we lost Andy. Kendall and Hank, this is probably closer to your schedule because you have 1 day a week on Saturday, or 1 game a week on Saturdays. Soccer, basketball, you guys usually have multiple games, and then golf, you're usually gone for pretty extended periods of time because you have tournaments and such. This could be a cross-country schedule. You guys usually have meets on Saturdays. So let's pretend that this is your week. So you have morning practice every day. So we're in season because we have practice every day. You guys know that when you're in season, you have 1 day off a week. When you're out of season, you have 2 days off a week. So we're in season and we have a game on Saturday. Looking here, your class schedule's in here. It doesn't look like you have any tests, which is good. Over here on the activities column, let's talk through what are our non-negotiables. So something that has to be in your schedule. Is there something on that list that is non-negotiable? You have to do it every day or every week.
Practice and lift.
Okay, correct. So that's all built in. Do you see over here on this like activities menu? Sorry, it might be small if you're on your phone.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so like what's something you have to do every week? You have to sleep, right? We can't cut
Yeah.
sleep out of our schedule. What about eating? Do we have to eat every week? Is that a non-negotiable? Yep, I think we
Yes,
gotta
breakfast,
eat.
lunch, and dinner.
Yep. If we want to maintain our eligibility, probably doing your homework is probably a non-negotiable, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, everything else on the list over here, like what I talked about earlier, NIL, Alston, social activities, that's the stuff we have to build in around the things that are non-negotiable because they get us towards our goal. So let's look over here on Monday. So you guys wake up. Are we gonna eat before we go to practice and lift? We're doing it fasted. What do we think makes for a better, more efficient practice?
Eating.
Eating
Eating.
before.
Eating before. Yes, we need to fuel our body so that you can perform at the level that you need to. During the school year, there is breakfast at Champion Center and there's breakfast over at the CU Event Center. So if you have a dorm by the event center, if you're not an event center sport, obviously, if you're an event center sport or you work out there, you can get breakfast there. If you are in like Kittredge dorm, a lot of people just pop on over to the event center, eat breakfast because it's way closer than Champs. So then on Monday, we go to practice, we lift, we're done at noon, and it looks like we have a pretty solid block of academics. Are you guys going to eat before you do all of that stuff? Yeah, we're going to go to lunch.
We should.
You guys should go to lunch. That's true. Then we got a class. You have to go to study hall. You have writing. Oh, that's a class. You have another class. So you got 2 classes. Now we have an hour break. What should we fill our time with before team meetings? What do you guys think is important? So you're probably already on campus. I don't know if you have time to go home. Let's call your team meeting over here at Champs. What do you think you should fill your time with this? Should you go eat again? Should you go back home and try to take a nap? What are we doing on Monday?
Probably eat and do homework.
Okay, that's a good way to spend that hour. Is we are since we're already on campus, we probably don't have time to do much else. Then you go to your team meeting, and again you have an hour until your tutor. What are we gonna do before tutor? We got done with our team meeting at 6 o'clock. What should we do?
Eat.
Eat dinner. Yep. Okay. So that was a very busy day of class. Does anyone, when you get done with your tutor at 8 o'clock, are you jonesing for some social activities or should we go to sleep? What do we want to do?
Should probably do homework and then sleep.
Oh, more homework. Way to go. So we're going to do a little bit of homework and then we'll go to sleep. Then we wake up the next day and we do it all over again. So what this is meant to show you all is that you are very busy. You all, as a student athlete, have a lot of people and a lot of responsibilities pulling you in many different directions. Let's say there's a soccer game on Tuesday that you're not playing in. Soccer, pretend there's a basketball game. If you have a test the next day, should you go to that game or should you do your homework or do your studying?
study first and then see how much time you have left.
That's a good, yeah, that's good. Because college is a lot of fun and socializing and having a great time is an important part about that. So maybe on this example, if you don't have a test, like this week, it doesn't look like we have a test, you could go to the soccer game because you don't have anything to do. But if you do, then probably we have to prioritize and figure out what's most important. There are a lot of time, well, the nature you guys know, as an athlete, you will have to do rehab or prehab or take care of your body by going into the training room. So that is probably something, let's say on Tuesday, you want to go, you need to go get treatment before practice, right? So you have to go get treatment. That means you need to eat breakfast before you go get treatment, which means your day starts at 6 a.m. because you need to fit in everything. So you're fitting in getting breakfast, then getting treatment before practice and lift. So that's a very long day. But I think Grace, Vanessa, you guys made a good point. You have to use those little breaks just to get as much time to get your stuff done so that you can have fun as possible.
You could take a power nap.
Good one. Napping is important. Sleep is important. Especially if you live on a dorm that's maybe like in between your two classes, pop on over, take a power nap. I think that's a very good, sleep is not what we want to cut our corners on, right? Sleep is important for performance and it is important for your brain, for your body. I know you'll get very busy and think like, oh, I'll just sleep less. But I think as an athlete that's not probably in your best interest. When I talked about Alston, do you guys have any questions about those Alston events? No?
Where would they be located on campus to attend?
Yep. So most of the time they're in either the Crawford Club, which is Dow Ward. That's where academics is located. And sometimes they are in on the third floor of the Champion Center where the food is, where Fueling Station is. So our goal is to make them as easy as possible and as accessible as possible. And obviously, if you go to 5, you get almost $1,000. So it behooves you all to try to get those into your schedule. Does anyone on the phone call have an interest in NIL? Do you think you'll do NIL events when you're here being a student athlete? Yeah, Grace, you looked enthusiastic. Do you have any ideas of what you want to do?
Not like specifically, but I do want to like explore the options and see what I can benefit from.
Cool. Kendall, do you have any ideas? I saw you shaking your head about NIL things you might want to join.
No, it doesn't really matter to me. I'd pretty much do anything.
Okay. Well, I think it's important here, with all your very busy schedules. I see a lot of people in your off season, they commit to a lot of NIL things. And then it becomes in season and they're like, oh, snap. I overcommitted myself and oh, Andy, you're back. Hey. So it's important to think about not only when you sign the contract, maybe you agree to a brand deal out of season, and then in season, you still have to do all that same stuff. So it's important to read those contracts and see what is expected of you. Another thing I talked about was all those clubs. Did those strike anyone's interest? Saks, United, Boulder Buffs. Those look interesting to anybody? No? Okay. I think probably as a freshman, that would be taking a lot on your plate. So maybe your first year, you focus on getting good grades, you focus on, getting used to dorm life, and then once you're a sophomore, junior, senior, maybe that's when you can get more involved in other things in our department and on campus. Has anyone thought about campus clubs or activities? Maybe Greek life, maybe a church organization.
I wanted to join VSA.
What's VSA? Tell us about
It's
that.
the Vietnamese Student Association.
That's cool. So there's a whole office on campus for student clubs. And Vanessa, that is awesome. You already looked at that because that's a great way to get to know people outside of athletics. You all will be spending a lot of time with your teammates and in your identity as an athlete, and sometimes venturing across campus to explore those other parts of your identities is a really good way to give yourself a breather, remind yourself you're more than just an athlete, things like that. So that's awesome, Vanessa, that you already looked that up. Has anyone else thought about something they might want to do in your spare time that's not related to sports? Okay, well, just something to consider, maybe not freshman year, like I said, but maybe after those times. Did you all see that email about the welcome back picnic? Yeah. It is a thing we do every single year. It is with the whole student athlete body, so every single athlete from every single sport. And that day there's a soccer game and a volleyball game, so you all can go to either one of those and then come over to Crawford Club, which is in Dow Ward, and then we have a big barbecue. You get to meet each other. There's usually a gift. You get to meet all of the admin, like our athletic director, things like that. It's a very fun time. That's sort of the kickoff event. And then at the end of the year, we have a giant award show called Cuspies. It's like ESPYs, except CU sports person of the year or whatever. That is sort of the end of the year event. It is swanky red carpet, and it is you go and hopefully are nominated for or win an award. But both of those are put on by SAC. That's what I mentioned. That's kind of like student council, and or student government, whatever you guys call it. And there's a SAC rep on each of your teams. So once you get to like know your team, you'll know who's on SAC on your team, and they will tell you what's happening, what to do, things like that. Is anyone feeling overwhelmed at how busy you're about to be? Good, Asan, I'm overwhelmed too. This morning I woke up and I felt very overwhelmed. So it is, you guys will all figure it out. I think it's important to remember to know yourself and when you study best, maybe in the morning, maybe in the night. Learn where you like to study. Like I have to be in complete silence, things like that. So even though you're overwhelmed, it'll be a lot of work, but it'll be a lot of fun. And I think now we are getting out of our groups, and I will see you guys in the main screen.
Okay, so I see everyone starting to come back now. All right, so hopefully you all had some real fruitful conversations about all of the things that you can fit into your schedule during your time here. I'm going to ask you guys to give me a tidbit of something that you learned from each of the different cohorts, because we had 3 different scenarios. So the first, we're going to kind of go out of order today since we always start with number 1. So number 6, I'm going to have you answer that question first. So is there something that you learned? Maybe say what your scenario was, and then if there was something that you learned through that.
Okay, so our scenario was just to support a women's soccer game, but you should do your homework before.
Love it. So go to the soccer game. Maybe you go for, like as many minutes as you can of the soccer match, but have to do homework before that. That's great. That's perfect. So Faith, thank you very much for sharing. Number 5, since you guys had the same scenario, who wants to speak about what you learned? And hopefully it's something a little different. I can call someone out too. Wow, come on, you guys.
Oh, wait, is this for number 5?
Number 5, yeah, Kayla.
Yeah,
Are
I
you
said,
Panda today?
yeah, I was feeling Kung Fu Panda vibes today. I don't know about you.
Hey, all right. Well, tell us about what you learned.
I learned just to prioritize school and athletics and whatnot, and then go to like fun things. That's my advice.
Love it. Thank you, Kayla. Appreciate that. Or Panda, Kayla, whoever you are today. How about our scenario for number 3 and number 4? You can tell us what your scenario was and then what you learned. And again, hopefully it's something a little bit different. So
we have 4, and we learned about like non-negotiables and negotiables with putting it in your schedule.
and how do you prioritize those? Maybe, Kason, I'm going to ask you a little further.
I mean, like class and everything's obviously non-negotiable. Study hall and breakfast, sleep is non-negotiable, but like NIL events and all that stuff is negotiable stuff.
Were you guys able to have like 7 hours of sleep in your scenario, or did you have more?
We put about 7 to 8 hours on ours.
Love it. Some naps in there maybe too. I know I survived on like naps if I could squeeze one in. So
yeah, for sure.
Okay, thank you, Kason. How about number 3? And remind us of the scenario one more time too, please.
The scenario was we were in a week of team travel, and I think we were injured, so we had to like fit in the injury treatment during the days. So that was it. Yeah.
And how was that when you had to fill in the different treatment, right? Like, does that take up a lot of your time for your schedule?
Wasn't too much. It was like an hour, I don't know, every 2 or 3 days, so wasn't too bad.
Okay, love it. Thank you so much, Etienne. All right, and then number 2, group number 2, please tell us your scenario and then something that you feel like you really got out of that experience. Group number 2, anybody? Who was group number 2?
That was my cohort. Either Natalie or Angelina. Either of you have something to say?
Thank you.
Yeah. So we just talked about non-negotiables and negotiables and how it fits into schedule. And we were talking about like NLIs and social kind of life and where we could fit it into the schedule.
And what was your scenario that you guys had to cover?
Did we? I don't even know.
Game day. I forgot to mention that. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, it's okay.
No problem. That's all good. That's a great lesson too. And then finally, our last group, number 1, you can tell us if you went over your scenario and then give us a little bit more information about what you learned. I think that's Abby's group.
Basically went over yeah, so sorry, we went over where you could fit eating, because I think that's very important. We were saying how having breakfast before practice is really important. And also if you get injured, that fitting that before practice would be the most beneficial, but you'd have to wake up earlier.
Yes. So kind of looking at how can you maybe have something in your room to try to get as much sleep as you can, or sprinting over to the fueling station beforehand. So I think all of those are great. So I appreciate everybody for taking the chance and having a little conversation with us about what you learned. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to have hear a little bit more from our Herbst Academic Center folks. So Catherine and Cody are going to talk a little bit more about academic integrity and what kind of starts happening if you wait till the very last minute, and some of those bad things that can happen from some of these issues that might come up from academics. So I'm going to throw it over to you guys, and I will start sharing my screen in just a second.
I'm still seeing everybody's faces. I just want to make pull off. All right, cool. Thank you, Catherine. Sorry. Cool. So on this slide, we want to just kind of talk about some of the tools that you're going to use to kind of help manage your time. And so the top left one, you can see it, weekly planner. It's similar to the same like assignment notebook you've been using probably since like middle school, high school. But just keeping track of what we have assignments, when they're due, especially as we hit like that travel season, and we're gone for maybe 5-6 days at a time, missing an exam, missing multiple classes, and just trying to keep everything organized. Underneath that, you'll see more like a regular calendar. If you're using the electronic week planner with your mentor or coordinator, everything will actually translate to that. So you can kind of get like a big picture view of the landscape of what you have to do that week. When might be good times to plan stuff, extracurriculars or NILs or whatever it may be. So in kind of like the top center, we have like our grade tracker. And so again, just another tool to kind of keep track of like, hey, maybe we have a paper due next Friday. When's a good time to start working on that? Especially if we know we have a game on Thursday and traveling on Wednesday, and we're going to have time, like that time in the air where we're not able to work on other assignments. And that's one tool to kind of help out planning that. Beneath it, you'll see a syllabus. You're going to talk about your syllabus a lot with your mentor and coordinator, but get an idea of like what's required for every single class, what the expectations are, when there's other things such as like office hours that you can squeeze into your schedule and to try to accommodate here and there. And the big one on the right, everyone should be familiar with it at this point, is just Teamworks. If you're not getting your alerts from Teamworks, you should be letting somebody know so we can make sure that's good to go. But that's just another tool to kind of show you like, hey, where you should be every day, what you have going on at the hour. You get alerts in advance. And so like that's another great tool just to know, keep track of everything, especially when you have extra meetings and what locations or who it might be with. All these tools are here to help you succeed and just kind of organize your time. So.
Great info, Cody. As a student athlete at CU, you will be expected to follow the CU honor code. So you'll see in every classroom and on every exam, you will read the honor code pledge, which is on the right of your screen. So it says, on my honor as a CU student, I have neither given nor received unauthorized assistance. So if you do not follow the honor code, you may receive an honor code violation. So we wanted to talk about what that might look like. So any act in which you gain or attempt to gain an unfair advantage, such as plagiarizing, cheating, or aiding academic dishonesty, could be subject to some consequences. Some common honor code violations include copying someone else's work, using a prohibited notes on an assignment, or giving your peer your work that they then submit. It also includes using ChatGPT or another AI composition software on any work that you submit. Your work has to be your own. It is an honor code violation if you use any of those softwares. What we want you to know today is that if you receive an honor code violation, there's going to be 2 processes of enforcement happening simultaneously as a student athlete. So in the classroom, the professor is going to determine if there's any course sanctions, and then you'll have a conversation with our CU Honor Code office to learn about if there's any sanctions from campus. Each professor may have different requirements for academic integrity, such as whether you're allowed to use out-of-class materials or collaborate with your peers. So they might determine the sanctions differently. In one instance, it might be that you have an opportunity to rewrite the problem. Another instance, it might be that you fail the assignment or the class. And then educational CU sanctions could be just a warning. It could also be a fine. On the athletic side, your academic coordinator is going to be notified as soon as it happens. And so you and your academic coordinator, you have 24 hours to tell your head coach, and then your academic coordinator is going to have a conversation with your head coach about it. And you'll need to talk with your coach and talk with your academic coordinator. The sooner you let us know about any possible honor code violations, the sooner we can help you navigate this process, answer any questions, and just support you through it. You're not going to get away with us not finding out about it. So just communicate with us right away so we can support you. And then as a result, what we just want you to take away right now is that it's important to build good habits and reach out when you're in doubt. So your Herbst Academic Center resources and professors are here for you if you're ever unsure. And time management is key to submitting your own work, right? So making sure we start our work early and making sure you know what the professor has in terms of honor code rules. So we need to make sure we're checking the syllabus for your professor's expectations and asking if you're ever unsure. I think that's the biggest thing. It's just communicating if you're ever unsure. When working on an assignment, some tips we want to give you is just making sure you cite as you add sources to your paper. Even if you don't put that source in your own words, so even if you do put it in your own words, you need to make sure you cite that source. We have it shown on the slide, a couple of different examples. And just know you have a lot of resources to help you. So you've got your Herbst Academic Center staff, which are here for you, your professor's office hours, CU has a writing center, and then there's Grammarly, which is a great software, and then a Turnitin assignment checker on our Herbst Academic Center Canvas course that you can utilize. So at this time, I'll pass it back to Catherine.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Okay, so we're going to have a really fun opportunity to get to hear from 2 current student athletes, as well as one of our alumni. So I am going to kind of lead us through a little bit of a panel with 3 of our student athletes, 3 of our buffs. I'm positive you can guess what sports they all play, but we're going to just get into this panel real quickly. So I'm going to have all of our 3 guests, so Madeline, Evan, and Jacob, you all, I would love for you to just introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about yourself, and yeah, start from there.
Okay, I'm Madeline. I'm a rising senior. I'm on the lacrosse team here, and I'm from Chicago.
Awesome. Let's hear from Evan, sorry.
Hello, I'm Evan. I'm from Los Angeles, California. I played at the university from 2017 through 22, and I studied journalism.
Perfect. And then last but not least, Mr. Jacob.
I'm Jacob. I'm on the ski team. I'm an upcoming junior, and I'm from Vail, Colorado, studying communications.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple different questions and just want to hear your honest feedback about how life at CU is, because I'm sure there's a lot of student athletes or first year students who are sitting here saying, I've got this in the bag. I know exactly what I'm doing. But how was that adjustment coming from high school to CU? Did you feel like you were a little bit overwhelmed, or did it feel like you figured out how to balance pretty easily? And how about Jacob? I'll start with you since I made you go last time.
It was kind of a tough adjustment for me because I was horrible in high school. I think I graduated with like a 2.7 GPA and then spent a lot of time in the athletic facility in Dow Ward working with tutors and with like a special ed teacher. And now I got a 3.8, made honor roll every semester so far. And yeah, it's pretty easy if you use your resources. There's a ton of resources.
Love it. And you said you were working with your learning specialist in the Herbst Academic Center, right?
Yes.
Beautiful. Yes. All right. How about Evan? Let's hear from you.
Yeah, so my time in high school was similar to Jacob's. I was terrible, and I might have had a lower GPA than him. But mostly, I came into Colorado ineligible academically, so I wasn't playing. I was, had to get my priorities straight as far as class, understanding the whole balance between student and athlete. And that fall, I, just turned my whole life around, really got into the books and spent a lot of time in Dow Ward like Jacob did. And a lot of time, with my tutors, with my administrator, and just, really working hard and really, putting the books first. And that allowed me to, get ahead, because I redshirted that year. So a red shirt year is a great year to get ahead in classes. I'm not sure how many of you guys will redshirt, but it's a great year to get ahead in classes and really build a foundation academically. And so that was what I was able to do at my redshirt year and my freshman year, and I ended that year with like 3.5 or something like that. And it was good for me just doing that foundation for the years.
Beautiful. Thank you, Evan. All right, Madeline, you're up.
So like freshman year for me was like difficult because I was a freshman like fall of 2020, so like all of COVID and everything was different, so everything was online. And so that was really different because like I had good habits in high school and like I was a good student and like good athlete in high school, but then coming to college and everything being online, like being trapped in my dorm room, like not being able to see anybody because I couldn't get like exposed to COVID, that was like a different struggle. It's definitely like as hard or easy as you want to make it. Like it's very important to spend time in Dal and like do the athletic side of things, but it's also important to like build those relationships with your coaches and make sure that you're still balancing the athletic part of it too.
Love it. That's awesome. Thank you. So there are obviously a lot of new things that you have to balance when you come into your time as a buff here. So are there any strategies that really helped you to stay on top of things, prioritize, be focused, productive? And Maddie, I'll have you start this time. Madeline, sorry.
Yeah. So starting freshman year of college and then through now, I use Teamworks all the time because like whether I'm in class on my computer or like walking to practice and have my phone on me, Teamworks is super easy. Like I put in meetings with mentors, I put in meetings with academic people, I put in meetings with like doctors and everything because you have every single thing on one page that you need. And Teamworks is awesome because it is on your phone, it is on your computer, things that you carry with you all the time. And then another thing is they were just talking about like the student handbook. That's also like a planner. And so I use the weekly planner for all of my assignments and I write them out. And then once I finish an assignment, I cross it off. So then like crossing it off helps me because it's like, oh, I did that. And now you have to focus on what's not crossed off. So having a calendar really, really helps me.
Perfect. Jacob, how about you?
Pretty similar to Madeline. A planner really helps. I keep like 3 planners and look at maybe one of them. And creating a routine really helps. When I don't have a routine, I feel lazy and don't really do anything. And get comfortable being uncomfortable because you're going to get in uncomfortable situations, and don't be scared to ask a question. The worst someone can say is no. And meet people.
Perfect. That's awesome. How about you, Evan?
Sorry, what was the question again? I blanked out.
Are there any, no problem at all. Are there any strategies that you use to help like stay focused, productive, prioritize all the things you had to do?
I say that, obviously the planners that they alluded to earlier, and Teamworks, that's been a godsend, recently, just having all your things on one page and digital, and you can see it, you can get to all your assignments. But in my week, I would really block out a time to really do work. So I wanted to have more social life on the weekends, and that required more of a focus during the week. So I would block off Sunday to Thursday and really grind it. And then I can, enjoy myself on the weekend. It also depends on what season you're in, as far as your off season and your in season, all that. Because in the season, I didn't have that much of a social life as comparatively to off season. So I would, really grind so I can, not mess up or miss any things on competitions and anything like that. In the off season, I would, grind, 4 days, 5 days a week, and then, enjoy myself 2 days later. So just blocking out a time that, and blocking out, days that you can really grind and get ahead on work, so you can do what you want to do. Because my mom always said, do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do. So
That is awesome. I love that. I feel like, can you drop that in the chat just so we can all remember that? Because I love that. That's perfect. Okay, so I'm going to combine a question that we got from the audience with another one that I was just curious about too. So every single one of you here. So Evan, when it gets to tournament time, you are on the road. You can be on the road a ton. Jacob, during ski season, I feel like are basically at a mountain for the entire part of the year. And then Maddie, when you guys are traveling during season, you are consistently gone. It can be like every single week you're somewhere new. So how do you handle all of that stress from your travel? And then how do you prioritize sleep? So maybe Jacob.
I would say it kind of goes back to like routine. Trying to go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time. That helps me. And it's super important to talk to your professors, build a relationship with them like first week, make sure they know who you are, because maybe you'll get in trouble for using chat GTP, or I always mess it up. That's why I used it.
And what happened when you used it? Nothing good. Yeah.
Nothing good. I had to rewrite a paper, but I could do that because I had a good relationship with my professor. I learned my lesson.
Good. Yeah, especially when you guys are on the road for so long. I feel like that's really important to have good communication with your professor. Evan and Maddie, if you want to have a quick answer for this one too.
what was the question again? I'm so sorry.
How do you prioritize sleep? How do you deal with being on the road, the stress of that?
I say that you put, the most important things first. That's also prioritizing, but as you get older, you understand that sleep is more better for you than you would realize that in your younger days. So sleep and education, all that stuff is hard to balance sometimes if you don't have a schedule like Jacob was alluding to. So I think just having a schedule and having a discipline to really know, for you to wake up and perform at your best, you have to go to sleep, and you have to, maybe put down the Instagram, put down, the phone, put down, whatever it is, and really lock in, and that's, it's all scheduling, it's all discipline, in my opinion.
Love it. All right, Madeline, I'm going to make you answer this, but briefly.
Okay. Something that helps me, like right when school starts, like the first week of school, I obviously like introduce myself to the professor because like they're going to be the people vouching for you and having your back. But it's super important. Like this has helped me so much. Like in every single class, I'll get someone's number, and then like having a classmate that like you can be friends with and they can help you while you're traveling. That's super important, and that's helped me a lot. And then another important thing when traveling is like you need to know yourself. Like I understand that like school obviously comes first, but for myself, like when I travel and we have games on the road, like I know that I'm not going to focus on school. Like I am fully locked in on lacrosse. And so like that, like Monday through Thursday of that week, I'll do a ton of schoolwork so that I know I won't have to do it while I'm traveling, because that would just stress me out more. But other teammates of mine are the opposite. So you just have to know yourself.
Love it. Thank you so much, Madeline. And so I want to like a little virtual round of applause for these three legends who are really wonderful buffs. I know every single one of them has come from and like exceeded their expectations during their time here and really grown a ton. So I'm sure that they would be great resources for all of you later too. So just a little virtual thumbs up. Thank you all so much for being here. So I know we have like 1.5 more minutes, so we're gonna breeze through this last little bit. Okay. So I just want to do a quick talking about these last priorities and just really thinking about these key takeaways of everything that we've talked about today. So as we heard from our panel, managing your time is going to be different at CU. you need to use your resources. So Herbst Academic Center is a wonderful option. PHP is really great to help you with building up some of those different routines as well. We love to help you in leadership and career development. So please just let us know what you need from us. We're all here to help you. The big thing too is if you are feeling like you're running into a problem, please just ask for help early. Every single one of us that's here that is works here or is a student here has run into an issue before and we forgot to ask for help. And we wish we would have done it. So please just make sure that you ask for help. You do have time to do fun things also. So again, be social, make friends on different teams. There's so many different things that we can do here. But really communicate with your professors, make sure that you have a routine, all of those great tips from our panelists. So lastly, we have our next session next week. It is on Wednesday again. It is covering all of the different types of wellness for you. So it's really everything from your mental health, through the transition into CU, as well as your physical health and taking care of yourself, prioritizing your sleep, everything like that. So if we have 2 more, we've already done 3, so you're already more than halfway done. So we cannot wait to see you again next Wednesday. So thank you all so much. We hope you have a great rest of your day. Okay.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Guys.
Bye. Have a good one.